On today's episode of Titus and Tate, the UConn Huskies are the best team in the country. I said it. I don't regret it. I think it feels good, Tate. I think it feels good to get that off my chest, to finally be a believer in the idea of UConn actually being the best team in the country. This week, we talked about it on the show we did earlier this week, that there's the tier of like 5 teams that have separated themselves. Texas lost to Illinois. We'll talk about that as well. But UConn was the one that was undefeated at the top of the polls, that was getting no first place votes. I think that's going to change next AP poll.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then give me an AP vote. I will change it for her.
Yeah, they have not trailed in the second half all season, and they continue to dominate people every single turn. So at this point, we have to point to the Huskies and say, tip of the cap, you might be number one. But I don't want to say it, because the last time I said a team was number one, they fell off the face of the earth.
There is that. There's like a lot of the teams that are like Purdue last year obviously was number one. We remember what happened.
Until they weren't.
Shorter stint at number one than Neil Armstrong's trip to the moon. Houston is number one. I don't think Houston's like that scared of it. I think Houston is fine with it. But there is a sense of like people don't want, like Virginia fans, I don't think want to be number one. There's it's like a hot potato.
Yeah.
But UConn saying, give it to us. We'll take the potato. We know what to do with this thing.
Yeah, please give us the potato.
Give us the potato. One of the teams that was in the running for number one, but won't be come around next poll, was Texas Tate. Texas plays their first game outside of the state of Texas, loses to Illinois in Madison Square Garden. You are the one on the show that loves Illinois. I want to talk to you about this Illinois team, because I wouldn't say they're up and down, but their ceiling is very, very high.
And I think that they have 2 point guards, which is a good thing in college basketball. So I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah, I need you. I want you to gush over Illinois, because it's always fun when you do. It is also time for some fraud power rankings.
Yes.
I have prepared a list of 5 frauds that need to be called out. We used to do these shows Thursday night and then put them out like Friday morning. So Fraud Friday rolled off the tongue. We're recording on Thursday morning. Screw it. I'm sticking with it. It's Fraud Friday.
Yeah,
it's Fraud
feels
Friday.
Good. I want it to be Friday.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the calendar says. My notes say it's Fraud Friday. We're going to have a Fraud Friday coming up. But first,
Woody Durham.
All right, let's talk about UConn, Tate. I'm in love with this team. UConn fans, I don't know where it came from, but I think it was because last time we spent some time talking about UConn, we were joking about how we knew nothing about this team coming back. And I think UConn fans took us very seriously.
Yeah, they were very upset about the fact that we did not. They want us to know everything about them, and now I'm at the point where I
watched like. It is. I do love this time of year, because the the teams that kind of, I would classify UConn as a team that came out of nowhere. They brought one guy back, Sonogo. I don't know who else was on the team. I'm joking. I'm doing it again to see if I could. But even UConn fans, I don't think expected. There was enough roster turnover, and they weren't like world beaters last year anyway, to where it's like, well, let's see what we got. And when a team like UConn comes out of nowhere, and the UConn fans have been watching every single game, and they're beating the brakes off of everybody they're playing. There comes a moment where they're like, how are we not number one? I need someone to explain to me how we're not number one. And then when guys like you and I, who are supposed to be national pundits and supposed to have our finger on the pulse of 360, are we up to 360 something?
Maybe
teams
more.
Now?
Yeah, let's say more.
And I do. I watch all these games. You know this, Tate.
Yeah.
I'm breaking down the film of Chicago State and IUPUI. You know this.
I'm watching Hartford just so I can see if they're better than Louisville.
But when we haven't watched every single second of every game, and then
frauds,
we make jokes like this.
Fraud Friday.
So I want to make something clear. I was watching UConn in the PK 85 or whatever the hell they call it, whatever the official name,
PK
the Legacy Invitational of Phil Knight. I was watching all those games. I watched the first half of the Oklahoma State game. It looked like UConn had it was a semi-close game there for a second, and then they got into the driver's seat, took a good lead into halftime, stopped watching because we were watching Creighton, Texas at that point. And I've fallen in love with this team, but for some reason, the whole point of me saying all this is like somewhere along the line, I just started getting bombarded from UConn fans. Like, when are you going to talk about us being number one? When are you going to talk about us being the best team in the country? We are destroying everybody. And I was like, be patient, everybody. Like, be patient. And it was working in the sense that I started like seeing UConn different because like UConn was like beat the shit out of Alabama, for example.
Yeah.
And Alabama is a good team. Alabama's not a great team yet. They
right
might
now,
be.
they're a top 10 team, says the AP poll. But,
I don't think Alabama's.
Look,
I think Alabama's better than they were last year. I don't think they're as good as they were a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They're not as good as the Herb Jones team. At least not yet. They might be.
I think Brandon Miller could end up being the number 2 pick. That's how much talent is there. But yeah, like you said, they're a young team.
Yeah.
We got a long ways to go.
So when all these UConn fans started like just being loud and saying like, why are we not number one? I said, you know what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to watch this Oklahoma State game, and then I'm going to watch the Florida game, and I'm going to do it with the idea of trying to see the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
Like,
through that lens.
Is this the best team?
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to talk myself into it. So I'm watching Oklahoma State. I'm trying to talk myself into it. By the end of the game, I'm like, they might be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, Tate, last night when I was watching Florida was like, not only is this the number 1 team, and this is no disrespect to Purdue and Virginia and Houston, who I also love, but I was like trying to come up with reasons why UConn's not obviously the number 1 team. Like I think they should be pretty clearly voted number 1. Now, there are different arguments, and first of all, I want to acknowledge that it is December, none of this matters, and it's all stupid. But
yeah. That's the preface of everything that we say in November, December.
That's the preface of everything we say every show. But especially now. Like if you were seeding the NCAA tournament today, I think Purdue's resume is probably better. I think Purdue has like probably
Purdue's
more
the number 1 overall
wins.
seed right now.
Yeah.
If Joe Lunardi puts out his bracketology, Purdue's number 1 overall.
I think Virginia's resume might even be better, but they've had like closer games, and Reese Beekman is a little banged up, and there's some doubt starting to enter the picture with
Virginia's number 1 when Beekman's healthy.
Right. But UConn is the number 1 team for me, and I don't think it's particularly close. They are the number 1 team that I would be most terrified. Like if Ohio State had to play any of these teams tomorrow, UConn is the number 1 team that I do not want to see right now.
Yeah.
That is number, and I feel very comfortable saying that.
And the last time that UConn started 10-0, they won the national championship. So I'll say that again. The last time that UConn started a season 10-0, they were national champions. So that is why UConn fans and UConn faithful are going crazy right now, because they're saying we're a team that wins national championships. Look at us in the 21st century, and we beat Duke head to head in 1999. People forget. So, UConn knows how to do this. They're waving the flag saying it's our time. Pass that potato. And we are 10-0. And if you just look at this Florida game, I told you I marked that as my trap game of the century, because you go down there, you got Todd Golden. This could be a program signature type win for his
program
era.
win. It had program win written all over it. Yeah.
And then the fact that they beat them down by 21. And it
wasn't close.
It wasn't even close.
They jump out to a big lead. They keep them at arm's length the whole game. And
Florida shot 28 free throws. UConn shot 9.
Yeah.
And they won by 21.
Yeah.
That usually doesn't happen in college basketball.
On the road.
On the road. They're 2-0 against the SEC.
Yeah.
They're beating power conference teams. I mean, everything that UConn is doing, and the way that they play, the way that they rebound, the way that they defend, it's all, it's the DNA of a championship team. And again, this is a program that knows how to win championships. So that is why when you talk about the number 1 team in the country, they check all the boxes.
Yeah. And how much of it, I guess, because to me, Virginia, I'm putting off to the side a little bit, like you said, when they're healthy, but they're not completely healthy right now.
Yeah.
Virginia is, I do love all these teams. I said at the start of the year, I thought Houston was the best team. As of last week, I would have voted Houston number 1. Virginia, we love. We've loved Bennett ball in the show forever, but this team is what they've shown us so far is a lot of fun, and they're very balanced, and there's a lot to like. But yeah, Reese Beekman being banged up changes the dynamic of that team, but they're still winning, so whatever. Purdue is number 2 to me. Like Purdue, and I'm going to come back around to Houston to say Houston has a great opportunity coming up. They play Alabama on Saturday. They still get to go to Virginia, and I think whoever wins that game is probably going to actually be the number 1.
Yeah.
So Houston, I'm just kind of like putting on the shelf because they've had some muck offs. It's not been exactly the prettiest thing ever.
Yeah.
Sasser hurt his shoulder a little bit, and it's like there's just too many question marks right now. And I still believe in Houston long term, but it's December and we're trying to talk about nonsense that doesn't matter. And so, like, honestly, right now, Houston hasn't like moved the needle.
And I saw Kelvin Sampson doing a post-game press conference, and he was talking about failure and dealing with failure. And I was like, okay, they're in manufactured adversity.
Yeah, they're just kind of like playing a different game right now. So like, I'll check back in on Houston after they play Bama and Virginia.
Exactly.
Purdue is so to me, it's UConn and Purdue is kind of the discussion. And I just think, like, on the one hand, like you said, like UConn wants it more, like, because Purdue had it last year. They had the hot potato last year, and they're like, we don't need this. Do not give this to us. We do not want this pressure. Please, for the love of God, we like where we're at. We like being sort of an underdog that people are overlooking. Please stop talking about us. But I think UConn, number one, matches up really well with Purdue in the sense that they kind of feel like Purdue when they had Travion Williams and Zach Edey was coming off the bench.
Yeah,
that's Sanogo and Klingon. But they're
I mean, Klingon is. I mean, they at halftime of this game against Florida, you looked at their stats, and it's like these guys both basically have double doubles in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you talk about Edey, the fact that you have these two bigs, you can get him in foul trouble. So the matchup is nice there for UConn, where it's like, okay, if you're Purdue, you're like, I wish we did have Travion now, because then we'd have a better matchup with UConn.
The only advantage, Edey's better than Sanogo and Klingon, but they got two dudes that throw at Edey, and I think the advantage like Purdue would have is they run better offense, and they're like more in sync as a team. But I mean, the athletes that UConn puts on the floor is overwhelming,
and they're playing real defense.
It's overwhelming.
I mean, Dan Hurley's in a defensive stance. Their coach is playing defense.
So
I
guess my point is, if we're just going off of like vibes and like the feeling you get when you're watching them, like Purdue to me is like a feel good story at this point in the season. Like, it's like awesome how good they are and how the losing Ivy and Williams and the Stefanovic, who I don't think Purdue fans miss quite as much as Ivy.
I miss him.
And you bringing in these freshman guys, and there's so many questions about who's going to handle the ball for them and all that. And they have answered those questions, and Zach Edey's the best player in the country. And it's just like a feel-good story that they're this good and they could be good enough to go to the Final Four, that kind of thing. UConn does not feel good. Like, UConn to me, the vibe of their program is like, we are not here to feel good. We do not, we're not here to like, we don't want moral victories. We don't want like,
no, we win championships.
We're here to win the title.
Exactly.
We are the best.
That's
team.
What I'm saying.
Kiss our ass.
This is that kind of program.
We're here to fight you. And like, when you watch them play, they play that way. Like
that's Dan Hurley's
UConn
attitude.
Jumps off the screen at you as like, they feel like a professional team, how they approach the game. And I don't know, man, it's overwhelming watching it. Like Andre Jack, I'm in love with that man. I really am. Like, I can't get enough watching him play. Like, the only flaw he has is, and the one thing I'm worried about with this season is his jump shot is the one thing keeping him from being like a lottery pick, honestly. Like, if that guy could shoot, he's a lottery pick. No question about it. He's a freak athlete. He's incredible defensively. Like I said, to me, he's the best perimeter defender in college basketball. My fear is, as the season wears on, he keeps hearing guys like me say the one thing keeping him from being a lottery pick is his jump shot.
And he's like, watch this.
He's like, well, yeah. Because we got a little bit of that at Florida.
Put up shots. Yeah.
At Florida, he hit his first two. And then he airballed, I think, the third three shot. He just completely airballed. Wasn't even close. I'm slightly worried about that. Like, we don't need him shooting 4 or 5
I like that he's not
a game.
afraid to shoot, but you're right. You don't want to get in a trap where he's playing outside of himself to sort of prove a point. The thing that's fascinating to me about UConn is that they should be number one going into the new year when you look at their schedule. I mean, they get Butler at Butler, which would be
trap game.
Trap game.
Program win for Thad Matta.
Yeah, a lot of dead spots on that court that they're going to have to figure out. So that's one game to circle. But then they get Georgetown. They get Villanova. So if you've been keeping up with Villanova, Cam Whitmore looks great since he came back, but Villanova in general does not look great. So that should be a win. Then they play Xavier at Xavier.
At Xavier will be interesting.
That's another maybe trap game. But if they
every road game is a trap
every road game is a trap game in college basketball. People forget, but let's say they take care of those. You go into the new year, they're number one in the country. Yeah, I think they're riding high, and it's just
going to be like
they want to be number one. They have all of
if Houston beats Alabama and then wins in Charlottesville, they're not giving up number one. You know, like
but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't necessarily either, but I mean,
yeah, I know. I'm saying I'm playing out where are we when Houston loses one of those two games?
Okay, so when Houston drops the hot potato, who's there to scoop it up?
I think Kelvin Sampson is trying to knock that potato out of some people's hands.
I think it'd be smart of him, dude. I think honestly,
he's giving me Roy Williams sensei vibes, where you play the long game here, and Tom Izzo does it, of course. But I think Houston's fine to pass the baton over to UConn, and then we'll see how UConn deals with being the actual number one team after the fact. But all signs point to they want to be there.
I think they can handle it. I think they can. I think this team, Jordan Hawkins is. I guess that's what makes him so fun to me, is that I can't figure out who my favorite player is. Like Sanogo, as we know, as we admitted on the show, he was the only guy we knew on the team coming. No, Sanogo's the guy. Like you fall in love with Sanogo because of as I was talking on Monday about him. Like he's added stuff to his game, and he's moving so much more fluid, and he's not afraid to take jump shots and shoot threes. And again, like I don't want him shooting. It's kind of like Jackson. Like Sanogo is hitting. I think he's hitting like 40% right now. He's 42, something like that. Like he's hitting them at a good clip. But like I don't need Sanogo actually hunting threes. But it's nice to see he's got it in his game that if the defender is just hanging out in the paint, he can keep defenses honest and shoot those threes. So Sanogo's improvement and how dominant he is. And how he made, like, at times last night, like Colin Castleton, who's a very, very good player, is just hanging his head. Like, I don't know what to do with this guy. Watching that, like, I don't know, you fall in love with Sanogo. But then you watch like Jordan Hawkins and like how confident he is with his, I'm a shooter, Tate. You're a shooter. You watch a guy like him, like curling off screens and letting it rip.
Yeah, my heart.
Somehow gets fouled like once a game on a three, like every single time.
And his name is Jordan.
And his name is Jordan.
Yeah.
He's going to lead the country in fouled on threes. On 3-point attempts, I think. He had like 2 against Oklahoma State. He had 1 last night. Todd Golden was losing his mind about it. You fall in love with him as you're watching him. Calcaterra, I love. Joey California, as Dan Hurley calls him. He doesn't miss. He's incredible. Klingen off the bench, you're like, my God, this guy.
No, it feels like a UConn team that can win a title when we talk about the characters on this team and the group of players. And yeah, I think Klingen is one of those guys that could win, Big East Newcomer of the Year type stuff.
Yeah.
Off the bench.
The flaws, I guess, would be turnovers. They get a little sloppy with the ball at times. Newton is like, I keep being told he's a point guard. I'm not really sure he is. I don't know if that's like what he wants to do, but I think he likes having the ball in his hands, but I don't know if he loves playing point guard. There's a difference. So that, like, I'm nitpicking. Like I said, I'm now.
He did have a triple-double, Titus, against Buffalo, so people forget.
There you go. I'm now in a position where I'm no longer like talking myself into UConn. I'm like trying to find reasons they're not number one, and I guess you'd point to that as like the point guard play is like Tristan Newton's a good player, like you said, he triple-double guy, but is he what this team need? Like, do you need another guy that's going to get triple-doubles, or do you need a guy that's going to facilitate an offense? Yeah. I don't know. They do put guys on the line a lot. Like the free throw disparity last night, I don't think that's an anomaly. I think they played like
I was just trying to show that's how badly they beat Florida in that game. They won by 21, and they had that kind of disparity.
I think that's like a thing that we're going to get out of UConn a lot this year. Is their other team's going to be shooting a lot of free throws. So that might worry me. And then like Jackson and Aline and Sanogo and like whoever else like shooting too many threes. Like I guess those are my flaws. Those would be the 3 flaws I see right now. Is like we don't need you guys pulling when you're wide every single time you're wide open. You're wide open for a reason. Yeah. But other than that, like you look at this UConn team, dude, their defense is insane. They have athletes at every single spot on the floor. They bring a 7'2" guy off the bench that dunks on everybody and grabs every rebound. And like that's the thing about like guys like Klingen that come in the game that are big dudes that are young and are coming off the bench. They're usually just like big, bumbling, ogre type dudes that like can't, you know what I mean? And like he can actually play.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like what Edie once was. Yeah. Like that's
it's good to see the evolution, the growth.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to start the show just saying UConn, you are officially the most terrifying team in college basketball. Yeah. I don't know if you're going to be the number 1 team. I don't know how all that shakes out. Doesn't matter. As of December, what is it, the 8th? As of December 8th, you are the most terrifying team in college basketball.
And one last thing to point out for UConn fans that they're going to love. Did you see this? The Duke men's basketball account, I guess, responded late at night to some UConn fan account and basically said that Madison Square Garden is the home of the Duke Blue Devils.
Really?
And the Huskies, they believe that they own MSG, and if you look at the track record, they believe they own Duke. So this is the official Duke account did this. And, I checked in, and it's like 5,000 quote tweets, 36 likes. What the kids say, a ratio. And the UConn fans are absolutely obliterating Duke. So I honestly think Duke, they should be worried because UConn is fully back. And when they're back, it is not good news for Duke. 04, the Final Four, people forget.
Yeah.
99, I mentioned before. Yeah. So Jim Calhoun always did well.
Who owns MSG? Do we need like a power ranking?
I think we should do that.
What about St. John's, who literally plays?
They literally play there, and they beat Duke in the Garf game when they played each other. When Chris Mullen was coaching, people forget. Coach K came there and he said he would never play a game that late in the season again. Basically, blamed the people for putting on the event, even though it was supposed to honor Howard Garfinkel. He was like, "This is all your fault." And Chris Mullen is like, "Great game." Shamari Pond's like, "Great game." He's like, "Shut up." I think Coach K would be number one on who is the face of MSG, which is in his own, that's what Duke fans would say. It's Coach K's building.
Villanova just won the Big East tournament. Still technically the defending Big East tournament champions.
That's true. That's true. Villanova fans definitely would fight UConn fans over.
What about Patrick Ewing?
Yeah.
Remember he won remember he won that
Jeremy
Big East tournament that
Some
one time?
Jeremy Lin still owns it.
Is that a new segment on the show? Who owns MSG?
I like it. Let's do power rankings of who owns MSG.
Anything else on UConn, or should we talk about one of the games that happened in MSG?
Let's talk about Texas. I feel like Texas is it was a real confounding thing for this show. I mean, we know who Texas basketball has always been. Yeah. But then we're watching Chris Beard. We both believe in Chris Beard. We think it's
a matter of time.
It's always
been a matter of time that Texas is
someone would get it right.
Yeah.
And Chris Beard has checked all those boxes. And he also, climbed up, out of the ranks, and everything looks right. But Texas still had a bit of fraud to them because they had not won outside of the state of Texas. They go to MSG.
Yeah.
This game was, signed, sealed, and delivered for the Longhorns. They should have won this game. But somehow, some way, Illinois, with the help of Jaden Epps and, Dane Danger, who was great in this game. Dane Danger. He really set the tone and kind of gave Illinois a nice spark they needed in this game. And then overtime, TJ Shannon, Terrence Shannon Jr. came to life. I was texting you in the first
Is he actually TJ, or are you the only one? Because I feel like you might be the only one that's...
No, people are calling him TJ.
Because every time I watch Illinois play, they're still calling him Terrence.
Because they're behind the times.
Okay, all right.
He branded himself TJ. I heard him say it. That's the reason I say it. Because I love a brand makeover, especially when you're trying to make people forget. Like Trevon Brazile, right? He's at Missouri. No one's talking about him. He transferred to Arkansas. He throws down the big dunk and brand makeover. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, who's this freshman for Arkansas?" That's what you got to do.
You're not wrong.
TJ Shannon, I think he was a little in his head because Chris Beard obviously recruited him. He played for Chris Beard at Texas Tech. So, that there was a whole bunch of emotions. But once we got to overtime, Shannon clicked in, ended up getting 16 points. In overtime in the second half. So it was good to see that. But I want to talk about Texas because this brought me back into cause for concern territory when it comes to Texas.
Yeah,
not all the way. I'm not panic button.
I don't think Texas is a fraud. I think Texas just like a little over eager, overzealous to crown Texas. The crowning was a little premature, and Texas is going to be a great team all year. I still think Texas, like when you look at like what we've seen out of Kansas and Baylor so far this season, I think Texas is the best team in the Big 12, aren't they? I mean, like are they the team that you would feel the highest on right now?
Right now,
I mean, Big 12 fans listening know how this all shakes out, and that Allen Fieldhouse is going to enter the equation and like chew teams up and spit teams out. And like at the end of the day, it's probably going to be Kansas, but. As far as like teams that we like right now, Texas I'm still very high on them. It's just the feeling of like waiting to see what we're going to get out of Texas. Like their schedule has been garbage other than 2 games. They beat Creighton and they beat Gonzaga, both at home. They blew the doors off Gonzaga, which at the time felt like a huge win. I mean, if you're building an island of people that are going to hang out on that all beat Gonzaga, that island's going to fill up pretty quickly. It's growing. Yeah. It's going to be pretty big by the end of the season, I think. Mm-hmm. I think this Gonzaga team is not the Gonzaga teams of past. That's becoming very clear to me. So like, yeah, that I don't mean to say that's not a good win. It was just like,
it's just not the
enough.
Quality that it was at the time.
Beating Gonzaga at home isn't enough for me to be like, damn, that's the best team in the country. Right. And then Creighton had my attention, but at the same time, Creighton turns around, loses to Nebraska at home. So now you're like starting to look at the whole picture of Texas, and you're like, they are a very good team. Love the pieces. But they've literally not played a game outside of the state of Texas.
Yeah.
They finally do. They should have won this game.
Absolutely.
They let this game, they kind of choked this thing away.
And that comes down back to the reason why I was kind of excited about Texas, and I thought that they may have turned the corners, because I thought with Tyrese Hunter being a true point guard,
he'd be a closer.
They had someone to not only close the game but control the game.
Yeah,
and know how to. We should win this game, so let's ice this game. Let's have that one possession where we need to score. Let's get that one stop we need. But to me, the person that looks like the most sound when it comes to those decisions is Jabari Rice. Sir Jabari. Also a nice, brand makeover. He went from Sir Jabari Rice to just to Jabari now.
Yeah.
He's letting everyone know.
He's been unknighted.
Yeah, he's no longer a Sir.
I think when the Queen died, he lost the Sir.
Yeah, he's like,
I think the Sir.
He's like, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done with this. But Jabari Rice actually seemed more of someone like in that mode, in that mindset than Carr or Hunter. And that is, I was excited about Hunter being there for Carr's sake, but Carr still wants the ball at the end of games. And I think a little hero ball. There's a little bit of who's actually making these decisions. So I think some of that stuff has to get worked out.
I think Marcus Carr is the guy that is ultimately going to have to make the plays for them down the stretch. He's got the Caleb Love. He's got the that gene that wins the final. If Texas is in fact in the Final Four and there's 2 minutes left and you're down by 1, you're just kind of giving the ball to Marcus Carr, saying like, "Please save us."
Yes,
and he's gonna say, "Watch this." What happens next? I don't know, but
step back, crossover.
If he's playing against Ohio State, I promise you, he will make the shot.
That 100%.
If he's playing against other teams, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. Like Tyrese Hunter is supposed to be the guy that says, like Marcus Carr is more like, we're down 1, we need a big shot type guy. Let's cross our fingers he hits it. Tyrese Hunter is the guy like, we're up 4. With a minute and a half, let's ice this game, and
let's have a good possession.
Yeah, let's like run the clock at run the football, get the first down.
We'll get a good shot here. Or we'll go to the free throw line. Yeah, there's things like that.
And I still think they're figuring that part out. I don't think there's not cause for concern in that. Like, I don't think the Tyrese Hunter Marcus Carr marriage is going to work. Like, I think it's going to work. I think they're going to be fine. And they like each other. But yeah, they're still ironing that out. This game to me was it ended up being like a fun finish, but it's pretty chaotic and sloppy on both sides. And
it started out really fun. Like Matthew Myers hitting everything and looking like a star.
A lot of one-on-one, a lot of airballed shots, a lot of
guys knew that they were playing in MSG.
Yeah.
And
Deja airballed a free throw at one point. Yeah, a lot of guys didn't know that they were
like
in
Terrence
MSG.
Shannon, for example. He was in there, and you could tell in the first half. I don't know if it was Chris Beard in his head or something was in his head where he was like, I'm not even here in this game. And then overtime came and he was locked in.
Where they showed Terrence TJ, I'm sorry, I don't want to dead name him. They showed TJ's his stats from other times he played MSG, and then they I think it was Holly Rose said he told me before the game he loves playing here, he loves putting on a show when he comes to New York. I don't like that, Tate. I like that out of my NBA players that have been in the league for like 7 or 8 years. I don't like that out of guys that are still in college that are like, every time I come to New York, I want to put on a show.
Yeah.
That's not what we need out of our college basketball players.
And honestly, Sky Clark, we love Sky Clark. He's a friend of the program, but he definitely had an MSG mindset.
Yes.
And in this game, Brad Underwood's like, you have to come and sit down, and we're gonna have to put in Jaden Epps.
So I guess I want to talk about Illinois a little bit because you love Illinois. You're Illinois. You do. You want to tongue kiss Illinois.
I want Illinois. I think we've talked about
who's your second team when Carolina
in the country.
Like Carolina's your team, obviously.
Yeah.
But like. You seem to fall in love with UCLA,
yes,
and Illinois,
yes.
Arizona's up there.
Tennessee,
Tennessee. Who's your second team right now?
Right now, like this season, currently that I believe in as my second team, Arizona.
It's still Arizona.
Yeah,
all right. I thought you were gonna say Illinois because Illinois.
I think it's still Arizona. Tommy Lloyd got me. You know what I mean? I don't know what kind of spell he put on me, but I'm like,
I was explaining to our friend Wildbags. I was DMing with him on Twitter when Arizona lost to Utah, and he's like, "What happened?" I was like, "Wildbags was on Pac-12 Network. I didn't watch it." Sorry, but I said I was talking about the Maui bump and like how it's not looking great.
Not this year.
Creighton's falling off. And,
not this year.
Arizona's
maybe for the tournament though.
But I said something happens when you and I go to Maui where it's like we're in The Bachelor. We're like on The Bachelor where we're put in this exotic location with these teams. It's like Bachelor. It's
Bachelor in Paradise.
It's basketball Bachelor is what it is. Yeah, it's Bachelor in Paradise where you and I are just like we're such an intimate setting in paradise with these basketball teams that we decide to get married. Like we're there for 1 week and we're like,
I'm a Wildcat.
I'm ready to marry Arizona. I'm done.
I thought I was a Blue Jay. I got wooed by the Blue Jays.
That's the best way I describe it. So like every time when we leave Maui and we're high on all the Maui teams, it's because of that. It's like it's such an intimate environment and you're around them all the time and you're like, I'm convinced that these are the 6 best teams in the country. Like I except for Louisville, they're the 5 best teams in the country. Like I walked away from Maui sort of seeing a path for Cincinnati still. I was like, Cincinnati sucked when they played basketball, but at the same time,
I like their vibes.
I like their vibes.
Yeah, I think they can get somewhere. Yeah, that's the problem.
I think that happened with Arizona big time.
Well, UCLA got me the first time we went to Maui, 2019, when Mick Cronin came out there and was basically like, I've never been to a concert before, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this guy has my attention. And so this year I think it's Arizona. But Illinois still is a team that has my attention because of the fact that they have a guy like TJ Shannon. They have a star, right, on their team. I really liked what I saw from Matthew Meyer. This was, Andy Katz after the game was like, this is the Matthew Meyer we've been waiting on. And Matthew Meyer's like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, you guys have been saying that? So that was awesome. Well, so I like to see him go off. And then with Jaden Epps and Sky Clark, I think you have 2 actual point guards on your team that can actually win you games. And that's what we need in March.
I think Illinois, though, I said this after they beat who did they beat? They beat UCLA. They beat
yeah, that was a big game. That was my 2 faves.
Yeah.
Heart divided. House divided.
When they beat UCLA, I remember doing the show for Maui, and I made a nonsensical comment that I want to see Illinois at their worst. Yes. And I understood how irrational that was, but like, I still stand by it that in
this game, though, I almost texted you this. In this game, I think we saw Illinois at their worst.
We kind of did, yeah.
Like the turnovers and things, it was the worst version of them. And I love to see guys could come off the bench and make plays. Like Epps makes 2 huge free throws that he got iced on.
Yeah.
He still makes it.
Hits the big 3, too.
Hits the big 3. Yeah. I'm like, okay, this guy's checking a lot of boxes for me. Dane Danger already brought up, comes off the bench, starts, tipping balls out, getting extra possessions, being physical, setting the tone. You're like, even when they're playing their worst, they have other guys they can throw out there. And it felt like sometimes they were handcuffed to Kofi. They were handcuffed to Curbelo. Yeah. And
you don't know where it's coming from.
Exactly.
You don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even think they know. And I guess that's the point I want to make is that, like, I do love this Illinois team. Their ceiling is incredible. I think as more time goes by, we get more data points, big games like this. I'm going to eventually get to the point where I convince myself they could theoretically win a national championship. Like they are good enough to beat any team in the country on any given night. I don't think I'm ever going to get to a point where I believe that this team can win 6 games in a row in the NCAA tournament. That's the issue.
That's the issue.
And I think like this game,
because Coleman Hawkins at his best. We're talking triple doubles. This guy is making insane passes. It's amazing. It's beautiful. But then when the game gets a little bit tighter and guys are pushing out a little bit more, and Coleman Hawkins is throwing behind the back passes on cuts that are going right out of bounds, and you're losing pivotal possessions, you're gonna be like, why? What's happening? Why are we letting this happen? So I see a little bit of that too. But again, in this game, we saw that. And they still dug themselves out of a hole, which made me feel, a little bit better about Illinois.
All you need to say about Illinois is Matthew Meyer is 7th on their team in scoring right now.
Yeah.
He's 7th on their team in scoring. And that's a guy who, when he was at Baylor, I thought he was going to enter the draft and some team was going to take a chance on him when he was like a freshman. What was his big year? Freshman, sophomore year? That whole time period, it's hard to remember. What year was that? 21, they won the title, but like 2020, I think 21 was when he had his breakout. So that would have been his junior year. I don't know.
I think it was a sophomore year.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Point is, when they won the championship and he was coming off the bench and wasn't getting a ton of minutes because they were so deep and so loaded, he won the game for him at West Virginia. You remember that game?
Yes.
When he went bananas and he was in front of his people with his mullet and his goatee and the West Virginia fans were looking at each other like, we can't even hate this guy. He's one of us.
Why didn't we recruit him? Coach Huggins.
But when he was showing me that, I was like, this guy might go to he might just enter he might throw his name in the draft, have like a few good workouts, and get drafted. Stuck around, like he's been inconsistent, as we know. Andy Katz is apparently a hater and wants more from him.
No,
but
he wasn't a hater.
It was on display in that first half, man. Like how when he gets going, he's incredible, and he's the 7th leading scorer on this team.
Well, I like that. I mean, he shaved the mullet, and he said it was because Coach Underwood told him he should try to look more professional. Which I'm like, this is hilarious. This is Coach. Shout out to Coach Underwood. He's such an old school coach in that way. But then he also said he wanted to be the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Matthew Meyer said this. This is what he told Jay Billis apparently. So I love to hear that, and I love that Matthew Meyer is trying to work on his defense, because that means that at times in games, maybe in the tournament where they're struggling to find offense, Matthew Meyer's playing great defense. They're like, all right, thank you, but please take the ball, go make something happen. And in this game, they needed him to, because Shannon was a no-show. I mean, he looked like he was seeing ghosts in the first half. I didn't know what was going on, and Matthew Meyer kept him in the game. And then they, went on from there. So it's nice to have in your back pocket, but it's not a primary option, which I think he kind of thrives in that role.
I thought Billis put it well when he said that Meyer is Illinois' ceiling. That's the way to describe him. When he's playing at his best,
national title type team.
You get to see how good they are.
Yeah.
Great commentary from Wendy Billis' husband, I thought.
Yes.
That was a very astute observation.
Famously known.
By Wendy Billis' husband. But yeah, man, the Illinois team, it's like the few times I've watched them play well, I've come away from it thinking like, phew, like I need to lay down for a second, because that was like a chaotic. It's like the whole experience with Illinois this year is like trying to harness the chaos and like get it all moving in the same direction. And that's Brad Underwood's job, like that's what he's trying to do. But then at the same time, the camera will cut to Brad Underwood on the sideline, and he's like more chaotic than his team.
He's passing out.
And his assistant coaches are trying to hold him
up. The players always take on the personality of the coach, and Brad Underwood. I mean, what a personality.
As a neutral observer, I'm like, I need like one calming influence on this team. I don't think it exists.
I just love that it was over like a goaltending call. That was like pretty bang bang.
That was funny.
That was great.
But no, Illinois is going to. I do. That's the way I describe it. Like the trajectory they're on. I think by the end of the year, I'm going to say, yes, Illinois definitively can beat anybody, and they can beat you by 10, 15 on any given night. But do I trust that they're going to be able to win 6 games in a row? I don't.
Do I trust that they would win the Big Ten? I don't either.
I don't trust.
I don't think they're a team that's going to win the Big Ten regular season. They might win the tournament,
but if I was an Illinois fan and the Illinois is like a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament or a 5 seed, whatever they end up being, because they're probably going to have a couple bad losses, but then they're going to have some great wins. And when the water finds its level, they're like a 5 seed, say 4 seed. When the bracket comes out, I'm going to look at every single matchup, and this is me being an Illinois. If I was an Illinois fan, I would look at every single matchup and I would say, we can beat those guys, and I would pick Illinois to win the national championship, and I feel really good about it.
I've done that multiple times in brackets. This is my problem with Illinois. I keep thinking that they're going to get over the hump. You know what I mean? I keep thinking this is the year, and maybe because this year going into it, it wasn't the year. Maybe there's a chance, there's a spark. And you look at their guy, like Terrence Shannon has played in big games and big moments on big stages. You know what I mean? Matthew Meyer played in a national championship. These guys have played in the tournament on big stages, right? So it's not like the lights are going to be too bright for some of their main guys too. So that is also another factor where, with Io and Kofi and Curbelo, sometimes it felt like, oh no, this is not going well. They're just going to basically be like, okay, hands off, let it happen. I don't see those guys doing that, even though Terrence Shannon was doing that a little bit in the first half of this Texas game.
Is Cameron Krutwig still at Loyola? No.
Probably.
No, I don't think he is. We have nothing to worry about.
Okay,
if you're Illinois, you're good.
Did you see Sister Jean is coming out with a book? She wrote a book.
Did she really?
Yeah. I saw Seth Davis tweeting about it. I don't know what kind of deal he's done.
Seth Davis wrote a book with Sister Jean?
I think he wrote the foreword of the book. Like he like wrote the prologue, and he's like, in case you missed it, this lady went to the Final Four in 2018 against all odds. Her crossover was unstoppable. Her spin move we've never seen before. Bob Cousy was gushing as Sister Jean took her team to the Final Four.
In the book, does she write about when Villanova was they played Villanova? They played Michigan. Villanova beat Kansas. When Michigan was running away with it, that she
bounced.
She bounced early.
Yeah.
Do you think that story is in the book?
I don't know, but a lot of people were comparing it to when
I'm not being a hater. I'm just
No.
we're a facts only podcast, and I'm not trying to like pile on sister. I'm not.
Yeah.
But the facts are that like when the going got tough, she rolled the hell out of there.
It was shades of the Pistons against the Bulls when they walked out. That's what people
did not shake hands.
She did not shake hands. She was like, "Roll me out of here." I'm pretty sure she gave the bird to Duncan Robinson. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I would have to get him on the show and ask him, but there was definitely some.
I just remember
some heat in the moment
when Ohio State beat Loyola last year in the tournament, and Holtman tweeted the picture of him like he's bending over and he's got his hands on his knees to talk to Sister Jean, and he tweeted the picture and it was just like great meeting Sister Jean. I retweeted it and then I did the Billy Madison quote with "You can trouble me for a warm glass to shut the hell up." And I just remembered that Holtman was so shook by that because he thought.
He was like, "Did I just get memed?"
He texted me and was like, "Come on, man."
But she wrote a book.
I just remember that, like my Sister Jean shtick. Sometimes,
I mean, look, Sister Jean. It was the reason why we took aim at Sister Jean is because she took all of the attention away from the players.
Yeah, we've explained ourselves. I think the people get it. I think the people get it, and I think the fact that we're not hearing from her as Loyola is having the worst year they've had since 2018.
Did you see DePaul has had a sister there longer with their program? So Sister Jean's a fraud.
I'll write her forward. What's her name?
I don't know, but I saw that news come out. DePaul, because we mentioned Sister Jean transferring to DePaul, and they said we don't need Sister Jean. We have a better sister.
we have a starting quarterback already. Yes. We don't need the
and we're all in.
Yeah.
We're all in.
We're not interested in the transfer portal.
Yeah, we just got to get these Chicago recruits.
That's I don't write anymore.
Uh-huh.
I used to be a writer once upon a time, Tate.
Yeah.
Is this how I get back into the world of writing? As I write forwards for nuns who are college basketball fans who want to write books. I reach out to all the nuns across the country, and I'm like, if you want to write a college basketball book, I will write your forward. Yeah. Don't ask Seth Davis. Ask me. I'll do it.
I am currently writing a forward for a book about Duke sucking.
Are you really?
Not even kidding. That is the truth.
Why would they reach out to you though? You're pretty unbiased about it. Yeah. Like you know, that seems weird. That's gonna.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna write on the next page is all the nice things I can say about Coach K, and then you turn the page and it's just blank.
I had one more thought on Illinois, Texas that I wanted to tip my hat to Jim's cousin, Brock Cunningham for Texas.
Oh yes. I hate this man.
You hate him?
No, it's not his fault. It's just because I view him as Jim's cousin. I see Jim Cunningham playing for Texas.
You see, anytime Brock Cunningham has success, like Jim is like
no, it's a very
smiling
water boy thing going on where like when I see Brock Cunningham do anything, I see Jim's face on his face.
Yeah. I noticed in overtime he did the jump ball and he tried to steal the tip. When he was in the center, ball goes up. Instead of jumping with I forget, was it Danger? I forget who, Coleman Hawkins. I forget who was jumping.
Yeah,
for
I can't remember.
Instead of jumping with him to compete for the ball, Cunningham, I don't know how to describe it. Like runs back to like try to intercept the tip going to the Illinois guard. Like he's in the middle. He's supposed to be the guy jumping. He's like, no, I'm going to go run around and try to steal it. And I thought that's a very Jim Cunningham move.
Yeah.
That was a Jim move.
A Cunningham.
That's a Cunningham move.
Your name says a lot about you sometimes.
But also maybe Baycott should do that if he's losing all the tips for Carolina. Maybe he should.
Pete Nance, by the way, against Virginia Tech jumped and won the tip. So Pete Nance should jump for every tip. He's got good genes, dude. His dad won the. Yeah, but he does not jump like Larry or Larry Nance Jr. If Larry Nance Jr. was on Carolina right now, Carolina would actually be the #1 team in the country.
That's a good segment. We'll save that for next week. Is what players, if they were on this Carolina team?
If Brandon Ingram,
we'll go through the NBA top 75 all time.
Yeah,
and you tell me if Carolina added them to the roster, would they still be #1? We'll save that for next week.
I don't think Dame would help this team.
Bob Cousy, does he help the team?
I don't think Cousy helps.
Should we take a break and then do some fraud power rankings?
Please, let's do it.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and talk frauds. All right, fraud power rankings time. Let's dive into it, Tate.
I'm excited.
Only got 5 this week. Last week I had 10. A little ambitious. Don't get used to that. That's
no, it was good though. I
think
it set the tone. I also just want to point out that on last week's fraud power rankings, you pointed out that Red Panda is off the table. She is not a part of the conversation. But there's a lot of people that continue to reach out with Red Panda is back, Red Panda this, Red Panda that. Well,
I'm glad you brought that up because at number 5 this week is the fraud power rankings themselves. This will happen from time to time.
Wow.
If longtime listeners of the show know that the fraud power rankings will sometimes appear on the fraud power rankings, and
which helps legitimize the fraud power rankings.
It does.
Yes.
As you said, the fraud power rankings have been keyed on Red Panda for most of this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. After reviewing the tapes and after this performance she had at Indiana last night, which I don't know if you're getting these tweets too. Like
I am.
The people,
they're
the friends of the program,
me.
boots on the ground, Red Panda. Like we do not have a more a better journalism network in this country than the listeners of this show tracking Red Panda across the country. Every single time, like it's so funny that I don't even know where she's gonna be, but then like suddenly I will check my Twitter and I have like 48 tweets of people that are at.
I think this is
some game
for Red Panda. I think there's a chance that we find out. It's have you heard this about the DJ Marshmallow? He wears the helmet.
Yeah.
Apparently there might be multiple.
There's multiple Red Pandas.
Well, there could be. You know what I mean? With all the videos that I keep seeing, I'm like, how can Red Panda be everywhere?
That's a great point. Well, the fraud power rankings are number 5 this week because the fraud power rankings have been attacking Red Panda, saying she's washed up, saying she's over the hill. It got to a point where it was no longer like fun to pick on her. It was just sad. And we were that's why, as you said at the top, like
we had moved on.
We moved on. We're like, we're just gonna put her over here, give her the space to work on her craft, work on her issues, and maybe we'll revisit at some point. But like this is a disaster. Red Panda's back, dude. Red Panda at Indiana. The clip that I saw, and again, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if this is slanted journalism because maybe she's dropping bowls and the people are only sending me the success hit, the ones where she hits. But Red Panda hit a 4-bowl toss, no hands, didn't even think about using her hands.
Yeah,
it was vintage Panda, and it got me thinking. Like
it felt like a very pull host moment, where like she was like back in form again.
Are these bulls juiced? Is what I asked myself. Is she juicing the bulls? Like what's going on here? But Tate, I went back and I reviewed the tapes. All right, and because this has been eating at me. I'm like, what the hell happened with Red Panda? It entered my mind, like you said, are there multiple Red Pandas? And like we're just seeing, like did the one I saw at Hinkle Fieldhouse that night, was that not actually Red Panda? Was that an imposter? That So it was driving me crazy trying to figure out what the hell is going on here. I checked the tapes, dude. January 22nd, 2020. This is pre-pandemic. Syracuse is playing at Notre Dame. And Red Panda, there's video of Red Panda on the internet somewhere. I know this because I was tagged in it. So I searched my own name at Red Panda. And I'm going back like through all these tweets of like people sending me Red Panda through the years. Syracuse at Notre Dame game. She missed all 4 of she does the 4-bowl toss. She throws it up and she missed back and to the left. It was like both of her hands, she throws it up and both of her hands go up immediately to catch like all 4 bowls.
Because she's like, I lost it.
Dude, it was like the saddest scene I've ever seen. Spills them everywhere. She only catches one of the 4. Like she's going to catch them all. Like she only catches one of the 4 with her hands, much less like her head, like she's supposed to catch, like she's supposed to. But this was 2020, and I realized that what we've seen out of Red Panda so far this season is blowing that out of the water, dude. And I started like thinking, she's not actually on a decline. She's on the come up, dude. Like she I think COVID was when she like hit her bottom and like really had to, like when COVID happened, I think she really had to pack it in and review the tape during that the time off and like try to figure out what the hell was wrong with her. And I think what we're seeing now is dare I say it, a re-apex. Dude.
Yeah.
We're seeing the re-apex.
This is like a Tiger Woods type thing.
Yeah.
This is the 2019 Masters.
Yeah. And so the reason the fraud power rankings are number 5 is because what they got wrong was that the game at Hinkle Fieldhouse to open the season, when Red Panda was dropping bowls and using the hand of God, and then was out there trying to hit the 5 like 1,000 times and couldn't hit it. She was on her way back up. She was not on the way down. All right. And we saw that last night at Indiana when she hits the 4 bowls. I still haven't seen her hit a 5 bowl yet. Still do not have footage of that.
I do not have that either.
I need some recent footage of her hitting the 5.
Yeah.
But I think she's on her way back up, and I think she's figured it out. So I just wanted to say that I think the Fraud Power Rankings got it wrong.
It's all right, though. I mean, that's part of the Fraud Power Rankings being on the Fraud Power Rankings because it keeps everyone, accountable. That's all we want. We want accountability. Our favorite ability on this show is accountability.
Yeah. The Fraud Power Rankings will come for anyone.
Not deniability, like some people may think when it comes to plausible implications and Rick Pitino, but we like accountability.
What else we like on the show is monitoring the situation.
Yes,
so
I love to do that.
We will continue to monitor this red panda.
We're gonna keep an eye on it.
We will keep the tweets coming. Keep the friends of the program. Keep the job's not done yet. We have a long way to go.
Yeah,
it's only December. We got to see her peak in March. We don't want her peaking right now. I got to see that 5.
Will she be at the Final Four? That would be great. I think there's a chance.
Jim Nance's Final Four,
and of course, Red Panda. One of my favorite acts in all of sports. Going for the 5 bowl here in Houston.
What's your second favorite? What's the second most famous halftime show in basketball?
I mean,
what's one that comes to mind? Like,
when I was a kid, Carolina used to have the Blues Brothers. Like, they would come out of the crowd and like the music start playing, and they run on the court, do a bunch of hijinks, like make a shot. That was always fun. Love the Blues Brothers. The Globetrotters, they would do halftime antics. They would come out and do stuff. That was always fun, but I don't even know what it is. The
Florida UConn game, they had the dog, the tiny dog on the basketball.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
I like that.
I like the dog on the basketball.
I mean, anytime that they put on a show that quickly, I'm more impressed by the event production aspect of it sometimes than even what's going on. I can't believe they did this.
My number one halftime show forever will be. I can't, like, Red Panda had a good run, and for a second I was really into Red Panda, but she was still number 2 behind local youths playing pickup basketball. With no rules whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the fat kid is just dominating the ball and pushing everybody out of the way and running with the ball. And the parents who are supposed to be refereeing the game are just laughing. And
they're like, my kids are famous.
Looking at
their
phone.
They're like, my kids are on TV, even though they're not on TV. They're showing commercials. They're like, my kid is on TV.
And it's not a game of 5-on-5. It's like 15 on 15.
Yes, it's basically just PE. It's like a condensed PE session. They just throw the balls
That's the best
out.
halftime. That's the best halftime. Show
the Boys and Girls Club is here. Yeah, that's fun.
Number 4 on the Fraud Power Rankings this week, ACLs, Tate. Think about it. When have you ever heard of an ACL in a good context? When have you ever heard like someone say, like Ja Morant gets his explosion because he's got like
strong ACLs,
very strong ACLs. His ACLs are on another level. We never ever hear about ACLs ever. The only time ACLs show up to the party is when they're trying to ruin everything. And they did it again this week. Trevon Brazile, as you said, tore his ACL versus UNC Greensboro.
Hated it.
He's out for the year. He was a guy that made Arkansas. Arkansas is still going to be good, but he made Arkansas
scary.
Very, very scary.
I think Arkansas was on the list of most terrifying teams.
Yes.
You said UConn's number 1 right now. Arkansas was there with Brazile helping.
They were lurking.
Yes.
Yeah, and it definitely changes this team. They're still going to be very good, but boy, that's devastating news coming out of Fayetteville. Jalen Llewellyn of Michigan tore his ACL. Also on the same. All this happened on Wednesday. All this news comes out on Wednesday that Brazil's out for the year with torn ACL. Jalen Llewellyn's out for the year for Michigan. Tore his ACL versus Kentucky in London. Cameron Fletcher tore his ACL against Virginia on a scary out of bounds play that like I saw one time. I said that to you in Rutherford. It was one of those. You watch it one time, you're like,
got it.
Never need to see this again.
Yeah.
Never show this to me again. And then Von Miller, who doesn't play college basketball to my knowledge, but does play for the Buffalo Bills.
And is good
also
at
tore his
basketball.
ACL. Yeah, he's good at basketball too. Also tore his ACL. Also, the news broke on Wednesday that he tore his ACL. So there's a moment in time where you could just say to somebody, "Did you hear about that ACL tear?" And you would have to be very specific because even
it's
if
like
you
5
said,
answers.
You're talking about the Von Miller? No, the college basketball one. Yeah, well, which one? Because there's still way too many answers. And I don't know, man. I was thinking about it. I was like, ACLs are never good. Like there's never a period of time where you're like a guy in the offseason was working on his ACL, and now he's coming back with a strong ACL. ACLs only exist to ruin everything. That's it. I hate them. ACLs, I hate you. So,
Same.
It got me thinking though, should we preemptively do ACL replacements? Should we as a society, like when kids are like 12 and we
get ahead of it.
Get ahead of it. Like take a 12-year-old kid. And I think that's what microfracture surgery was, by the way. I think like that was like
I just know that microfracture surgery is like the worst thing to ever happen to knees. Yeah. That's all I know.
I'm pretty sure I'm not actually, but if you told me that's what microfracture actually was they were just like, let's take a guy who's got knee problems and just like nuke his knee and just try to build it back.
Let's just make it new.
Why
don't we just make it new?
And it never worked.
Yeah, they're like, why do we do that? Like money, duh.
Anyway, ACLs are a huge bummer in basketball right now. And, they're fraudulent, and get them out of my face. So that's number 4. At number 3 on the fraud power rankings this week, Tate, and this is an issue that I've tried to stay silent on for as long as I can. Like, I don't want to be a hater too much. And you know, I know things change and it's not the same as it was back in my day. You know, kids are into different things, and I try to be understanding, but there's an epidemic in college basketball that needs to be stopped. And I've seen enough. At number 3, it's premature shooting shirt removers. I don't know how this became acceptable, but there used to be rules to this, Tate. If you do not get in the game, you do not take your shooting shirt off.
Facts.
You're sitting on the bench. You're wearing the shooting shirt.
You got to stay warm.
You got to stay warm. You got to be ready. But also, there's like a stolen valor element to this, that the guys who are taking their shooting shirts off before they get into the game, I see what you're doing. You're trying to tell the women in the stands
that you play.
That I play.
Yeah.
That
I do get in the game. In fact, I am a part of the rotation, and coaches just waiting on my moment.
Yeah, and when there's like 12 minutes left in the game and you look over and I have my shirt, I'm sitting on the bench and my jersey's showing, you're going to subconsciously like start, I'm gaslighting you. I'm gaslighting you. Like you're going to start thinking like, was he in? Did I miss that? Did he get some burn? This is an epidemic. It's happening on, I initially made a list of teams that I saw were doing this. The list got so long that I was like, I don't even have time to read off all the teams that are doing that all the teams that I've noticed this going on. This back in my day, Tate, would never happen. This is like, I don't know what, like this is like a cardinal sin for a bench warmer to take off your shooting shirt before you get in the game. It's like, it's stolen valor is exactly what it is. Because the other thing is like when you're a guy checking into the game, especially the bench warmers, especially the walk-ons, part of the whole song and dance is doing the NBA shit where you slowly are walking to the scores table. You're really milking, like taking off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a manager's following you, and like you do
you're ripping your pants off.
The LeBron move where you just like throw it on the ground next to him instead of handing it to him. Like this is all part of it.
It's the show. This is show business.
And I don't know what's gotten into these guys, but like it's happening more and more in college basketball, and we got to put a stop to it, dude, because it's so confusing for those of us watching, trying to understand who's gotten into the game, who hasn't. But it's really it's
on the coaches though. I mean, it used to be like if you were trying to do that, your coach would say, "Put your warm up back on."
Yeah, put your warm up back on. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. It would literally it would be as simple and as direct as that. It would be like, "What are you doing? Please put your warm up back on. And if you don't, get off my bench."
Yeah.
But nowadays, with the amount of photos, Instagram videos, things like that, you got to make sure you got to pop that warm up off. Make sure they see you in the jersey.
You know what else it is?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, is I think warm ups in the layup line, you can dunk now.
Yeah.
They don't call technical fouls like they used to back in my day. If you were another thing I'm pissed off about, dude, because we used to like cock it back to go dunk it, and then you'd have to finger roll it over because you don't want to be the guy that's.
That was also a fun move to watch too when guys would do that.
Yeah, just aggressively, and then like at the very last second, you gotta slightly lay it in. So you can dunk in warmups now, and I think what guys are doing is they realize if I take off all the warmups and I'm wearing just my jersey, and my social media director, whoever runs the social media accounts for our team, takes a picture of me dunking in warmups, I can zoom in on it, make it my profile picture. The ladies aren't going to know.
No,
they're not going to know. They're going to see me dunking, and they're going to be like, "Damn, this guy."
They're like, "Which one did you meet on the team?" You're like, "Right there, number 17." And then he's cocking it back.
Yeah. We didn't have that luxury back, and it's disgusting. It's stolen valor is what it is, and I see right through it. And I'm just calling out. It's just I don't know. We have to do better as a college basketball community.
It's very participation trophy conversation. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everyone gets to take their warm-ups off.
Indiana's.
We don't like it.
I said I wasn't going to call out individual teams. Indiana's entire team does it, and it's upsetting because Indiana has like pretty sick shooting shirts. They got the button-ups and the script Indiana on the back, and they're collared. And they've been wearing them since the 40s. I think. I don't know. It looks like they've been wearing them since the 40s with the candy stripes. It's like the iconic warm-up look, and they all take off their shooting shirts and they just wear their jerseys on the bench, and it's disgusting. And it makes
and that's
me
sick. The one school where there's supposed to be we do things the traditional way.
Right.
How basketball's supposed to be played.
It's disgusting. And the other
maybe
thing
that's why they're not winning.
Yeah, the other thing I thought was are guys trying to show off their names on the back of the jerseys.
Ooh.
A lot of the shooting shirts don't have names on the back, but the jerseys do. But Indiana doesn't have names on the back, so I don't know what the hell they're
trying to show their number.
Anyway.
If I can't show my name, I'll show my number.
At number 2 on the fraud power rankings, Sam Houston State. Or is it just Sam Houston? I don't know. I'm getting conflicting information on this, by the way. Some people just call it Sam Houston. Some call it Sam Houston State. I got to throw the state in there because when I hear Sam Houston, I think of the man, Same with James Madison, by the way. It's confusing. When you say James Madison played Virginia,
just say
really
JMU.
Well.
I think JMU.
JMU's more. Yeah, you gotta differentiate. So it's still Sam Houston State to me. The initial net rankings come out, Tate. Sam Houston State, as we know, was number 7 in the net rankings. A lot of people were very high on Sam Houston State. They beat Dallas Christian 111-58 on Saturday. They beat Southwestern Adventist 120-33 earlier in the year. I think most college basketball pundits were very, very high. Tate and I said not so fast. We were on this early. We were like, hang on a second.
I could see that the Bearcats are a little fraudulent. They did beat Oklahoma, though.
Did they really?
Yeah. That was their first game. They beat Oklahoma 52-51. That is what they're hanging their hat on. That's what the Bearcats, and you spelled with a K, I believe.
Yeah.
That's what the Bearcats are arguing. They're saying, not so fast, even though
they won at Oklahoma. That's right.
Yeah. But that was a classic trap game.
Well, they're number 7 in the initial net rankings, and not us. We weren't buying it. We saw it coming from a mile away that they were a little fraudulent. 7 felt way too high to me. I had them more in like the
I was like 17
range. Their very first game after being number 7 in the net rankings, they lose by 14 in Oklahoma State on Tuesday. Tate. Fraudulent. They were never number 7. That was always too high. So I just wanted to call that out. That all of you that believed in Sam Houston State, shame on you. They are now 22nd in the net rank. They fell all the way to 22nd.
Oh, really? They're still top 25 though.
Yeah. I'll say it though. I think that might be too high. I have them like 30, 31 range.
Sam Houston State was blowing out like Southwest Adventist or
Southwestern Adventist is what the
and so I pointed that out and I was like, the net, thank you to the net for worrying about the margins. And then I had some of these mathematicians coming at me and telling me that the margins actually aren't a factor anymore. Then what is it? Because why else would Sam Houston
I think it's
State
because they beat
this high?
Latorno 84-48. I think after beating Southwestern Adventist, they beat Latorno, and I think those back-to-back wins with the Oklahoma win, I think that just pushed them to the moon. And I think the lights were too bright for them though. I don't think they were ever ready for this moment. Lost Oklahoma State by 14. So
I need to see Carolina versus Sam Houston State, and we'll see who actually is number 22 in the country.
It's the new Xavier Cincinnati. The fight for
let's see who's 20. Let's see who's actually 22 in the country.
At number 1 on the fraud power rankings, it is the Kohl Center. The University of Wisconsin plays here. They play their home games here, and I don't know if people saw this tape, but that's what the fraud power rankings are here for. They're here to shed light on the fraudulent activity going on out there in the world of college basketball. Maryland is down 12 in the first half at the Kohl Center. The Maryland Terrapins, 8-0 start to the season, playing on the road at Wisconsin. They end up losing the game, Tape, but at one point in the first half, they are down by 12, right? They close out the first half going 4 for 5 from the 3-point line. 4 of their final 5 3-point attempts in the first half against Wisconsin, they make, okay? They go on an 11-0 run at one point towards the end of the first half. They were down 12. but they cut the lead to 2 going into the halftime break, 31-29. Momentum is trending Maryland's way. All right. At halftime, Wisconsin brings the Bucks mascot, who is, I believe, named Bango. Bango, the Bucks mascot, comes out, is the halftime entertainment. He is going to be jumping off trampolines and dunking for the children. That is what he is doing. Bango dunks on, he has a dunk that is so ferocious, it literally breaks the rim. He doesn't shatter the backboard, but the rim,
classic Bango,
gets broken, and the rim is now floppy. The rim is broken. They have to lower the entire basket. The Kohl Center crew has to lower the entire basket. They tighten the rim. They put the rim together. Go ahead and take a guess as to which team was shooting at that rim in the second half. Was it the home team, the Wisconsin Badgers, or was it the road team, Maryland Terrapins, who hit 4 or 5 threes entering the halftime break and had all the momentum?
I'm going to guess the Maryland Terrapins.
It was, in fact, the Maryland Terrapins, Tate. Bango was dunking so hard that he picked up the Maryland rim, and then somehow this is allowed per Big Ten rules that Wisconsin got to send their guys out there to tighten these things, and
we know how that works.
We know how that works.
Yeah.
And they literally in front of 10,000 plus people on national television are sitting there tightening the rim, and then Maryland shoots just 5 for 11 from 3 in the second half. 5 for 11. Disgusting. They couldn't hit a damn thing, Tate. It made all the difference.
It was huge.
It did.
That was a really big moment.
5 for 11, dude. That's like less than 50%.
In my head, for whatever reason, I like to think that Giannis is Bango, and this is like what he does for fun. And he's just like, I'm just gonna rip rims down, but I have to do it under the guise of a mascot.
I have had it out for the Kohl Center ever since I was in college. It's the only Big Ten arena that in my 4 years at Ohio State that we never won in.
Wow.
It stinks to high hell. Like the moment you walk in that place, you know they're cheating.
Collusion.
It's collusion, dude. It is collusion. This is the collusion center. It is the collusion center and then some. When Bo Ryan was the coach, I've talked about this on the show forever. I will talk about it on the show until either I die or Bo Ryan faces justice over this. One of the two. He used those Sterling basketballs they were the only school in the country that used them. They were just like plastic, like
rubbery, orange.
It was the worst basketball on planet Earth.
I hate those balls.
It was always way too cold in there. They put the basketballs in the refrigerator or the freezer before they let you shoot around with them. And then the arena was always like way too cold. One year we were playing there, I think my senior year. Danny Peters, who's an assistant at Georgia State now, was a fellow walk-on on the team. During the pregame shoot-around, the day of the game, he dunked during our little layup lines we were doing a warm-up. He dunked, which is like the biggest red flag possible, that like there's something amiss about these rims. Pull out a tape measure. We literally measure. It was like 9 3/4 was what we were shooting around at.
Makes sense.
It was so much bullshit, dude. And then if you watch these Wisconsin games, so I was watching the Maryland first half. Even when Maryland hits the rim, it doesn't sound right. It sounds like the clunk. It's not the right clunk.
Yeah,
dude.
It's like a dud.
It's
like a dead bat,
yes,
like a dead baseball bat.
Yes. And I don't know, man. I've been on this for years, and then the fact that they are just so brazenly out in the this to me was like when we were complaining about Duke dropping bags, and then the FBI gets involved in college basketball, and then Duke signs Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, and Cam Reddish.
Yeah,
and we were like, this is the most brazen I've ever seen that you almost have to respect it. That's what this was to me with the Kohl Center. It was like, I've known that you're up to shenanigans for years,
but to do the shenanigans in my face
like this. To literally let Bango
and then look at Maryland and say, you're shooting that way.
Yeah.
You're going that way.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
It was the most fraudulent shit ever. So number one is the Kohl Center. I don't know how they get away with
collusion.
Something about Wisconsin is like so cozy, and like you go up there in Madison, it's a cool little college town. They got a cool little vibe up there, and everyone's kind of friendly too. So I think what happens is people go up there and visit, and they're treated well. Not road teams. I'm talking about like media members, and you have a good time, and you walk away from it thinking like, I can't hate these guys. Like they're kind of nice, they're nice people. The bratwurst is good, and they got good beer up here, and great people. And you see stuff like this, and the Big Ten media, I think they're scared to call it out because they don't want to ruffle feathers. They're like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
They were nice to me. Like
I like Milwaukee.
I don't think they're capable of this, is what they say to themselves. But they are, and I'm telling you, they are. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah,
I've seen it forever, dude. So
It's funny because it's very Cameron Indoor, It's very much like instead of it being cold in Cameron Indoor, it's hot. You know what I mean? Like instead of, the whole rims thing, obviously at halftime, Duke will tighten the rim of the team that's going to be shooting that way and they'll loosen their, you know what I mean? It's like little things, but similar things.
Yeah. Also, Wisconsin uses the way too orange ball.
Mm-hmm.
That stands out to me too. I don't know.
And the NCAA copied them in the tournament. So this is the kind of ball we want to play with.
I'm not the crazy one. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not the crazy
Collusion.
one. Yeah, it's cool. It's
Hashtag collusion.
That's exactly what's going on. That's it. Those are your fraud power rankings.
I love it.
Congratulations to Jim Boeheim for playing his way off the fraud power rankings by winning at Notre Dame.
He has been picking his nose at such a high rate this year. It makes me think he's coming back. He would not be digging for treasure like that if he wasn't coming back.
We got the big Syracuse-Georgetown game on Saturday, by the way.
Huge.
Oh, my God.
Huge. Everyone's going to be watching that.
Everyone's locked in on. That's the fraud bowl. Go ahead. Next week, fraud power rankings. Let's just go ahead and pencil in whoever loses that game, which is probably almost certainly going to be Georgetown.
Yeah.
Patrick Ewing. But he did win. He
won. He won.
Could Patrick Ewing be number one on the fraud power rankings and number one on the who owns Madison Square Garden at the same time?
I think so, and I think that might be
what a miracle that would be.
That would actually be great for the show. You can be both things, duality. You got to see both sides.
Shoutouts, closeouts. What do you got?
I got to shout out New Mexico basketball, the Lobos, not to be confused with New Mexico State.
I was going to say, dude,
not to be confused with New Mexico State. That is something we don't want to talk. New Mexico State. Get out of you're not. We're not talking about that. But New Mexico, we do want to talk about that because there's Little Patino. He's 10-0. One of the only 10 teams in the country. They're still undefeated.
Dickie P, baby.
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah.
And not only that, I pointed this out, but Jamal Mashburn Jr. is the star of this team. I mean, this guy basically wakes up and averages 20 points per game. That's what he does. Son of Jamal Mashburn, of course, Jamal Mashburn Jr. And then Eddie House's son, Jalen House, is also on the team. So their backcourt is two NBA second-generation kids, and they're a fun team to watch.
Second-generation NBA coach.
Exactly.
There you go.
So it's second generation. I like New Mexico. They're fun to watch. So if you haven't checked them out, watch some of their games. And Jamal Mashburn Jr. on my wouldn't watch list.
Wow.
Yes, trending up on my wouldn't watch list. So shout out
I
New Mexico.
I had a few I wanted to shout out to. A little We Speak Your Name situation.
Yeah, that's what it is.
New Mexico, we speak your name.
Mm-hmm. New Mexico State, we do not.
New Mexico State, we do not speak your name. Figure out that situation.
Yeah,
we'll say that.
Yeah. That's not for us.
That's not for us.
That's not for us.
Kent State, we speak your name.
Okay.
They've lost 3 games this season. This is a big time moral victory type situation. I understand that. I'm not trying to hang the banner for close losses, but at the same time, that's exactly what I want to do. Had Gonzaga on the ropes, Tate.
Mm-hmm.
They had Gonzaga on the ropes. They played Gonzaga very well. They gave Houston's best game of the season, 49-44 Muckfest. They also lost to Charleston, who is
good,
very close to being ranked, I think, or no?
Yeah, they're receiving votes.
They're receiving votes. Yeah,
they're like 27.
They're in the mix. And Kent State should have beat Charleston. They choked that game away. They had it and they let it slip through their fingertips.
Charleston beat Virginia Tech.
Did Carolina and Charleston play?
Yes, Carolina beat Charleston.
Carolina. Is that Carolina's best one? James Matt, like suddenly these wins that they have are like,
thank you. Start adding up the resume. I see 3 resume wins right now: James Madison, Charleston, and Portland. I don't know about you.
But Kent State is just a bunch of tough nosed senior type dudes that they are going to be a team that when the bracket comes out in March, a lot of people are going to be hot on, and I'm hot on them now. Sincere Carey is their guy, Tate.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a nickname for John Moran, am I right? Sincere Carey. How about that one? Can we play a rim shot, Jim? Sprinkle a rim shot in there. That one was good. But Kent State is we speak your name. That's all. They played Gonzaga well. They should have beat Gonzaga, honestly. They should have won all 3 of those games. They didn't, but
we remember.
But we remember.
It was close.
The North remembers.
The North remembers.
Also, speaking of should have won teams, we speak your name, Troy, hung with Arkansas and San Diego State. Lost both of those games, but you hung with them. We speak your name. We see what you're doing.
We see you.
Yeah, congratulations. You have, in fact, lost 3 straight, including losing to SIU Edwardsville, but that's okay. We speak your name nonetheless.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw the good times.
And then finally, speaking of small schools that are playing decent basketball, these up-and-coming mid-majors, Arizona State. Absolute stinker against Texas Southern earlier in the year. Stood out to me as another joke of a year from Bobby Baggs and the boys in the desert. They've recovered nicely, Tate. 9-1 on the season, 2-0 in the Pac-12, playing defense for the first time in Bobby Hurley's life.
Yeah.
He has a team that plays defense.
I think Dan kind of rubbed off on him. Dan's like, you win games, you play defense.
Cambridge brothers are fun. They have a lot of transfers. They got the Cambridge brothers, the Devin.
It's not good for Marcus Bagley that since he's been out, things look better.
Yeah, they're better without him.
Yeah, it's not. Another quote tweet is on the way, I believe.
Frankie Collins would be the starting point guard of Michigan right now if he would have stuck around. He did not. He's playing for Bobby Hurley out there in Arizona. Is it Arizona? Is Arizona State in Arizona? DJ Horn, Illinois State transfer. He's been playing well for him. So they got a couple Buckeyes too. Luther Muhammad, Alonzo Gaffney.
Yeah, Luther Muhammad.
I think Arizona State. It's you always wait for the other shoe to drop with them, but I don't know. Right now, tip of the cap. I'm not ready to say that they're that they're different this year, but it does feel slightly different so far from what I've seen.
Yeah,
but they did lose to Texas Southern. That's a little gives you pause.
Yeah,
we'll see. I don't know.
I want to shout out this weekend. We got good college basketball games. So if you are a fan of the sport, you want to log in and lock in. Saturday, we got Alabama-Houston, which would be a great game. We talked about that. We got, obviously, Arizona-Indiana. You and I will be watching that. Company men. We will be watching that on Fox. That'll be a fun game. But the one I wanted to flag on Saturday that I want everyone to watch will be after Alabama-Houston, and that is our boy Penny Hardaway taking on Bruce Pearl, undefeated Auburn.
In Atlanta, I believe.
Yeah, this is very much a game that I think Memphis and Penny will be up for. I'm not sure Auburn's the number 11 team in the country, so I want to see what they look like on this stage. And I think Penny's got something for us. So
yeah, Auburn's undefeated.
He said God got us. Yeah, Auburn is undefeated, one of the 10 teams undefeated. So once Penny said that, I was like, oh, maybe.
God's got us.
God's got us. Maybe Penny knows something that we don't. God's playing.
Saturday's a Kansas, Missouri great game. San Diego State, St. Mary's, and Phoenix. San Diego State has been a little. I mean, the Maui disappointments coming out of Maui. We focused on Creighton and Arizona, obviously, because they were the two teams playing for the title. But San Diego State has not looked awesome.
I mean, in Arkansas with the injury news, I mean, it's not been great as far as the fallout from Maui.
And then Texas Tech,
there's some concerning things going on there, but we don't know what. We're circling the wagon when it comes to Tech.
I'm going to say this. I apologize to Matt Barnes. I'm about to be a huge hypocrite because I feel like I'm Matt Barnes with Texas Tech right now.
You know something.
I was told a rumor about Texas Tech basketball that this is Matt Barnes. I'm literally Matt Barnes. I'm not going to share the rumor because I'm in no position to, and I'm not a real journalist. And like, I got fed this information, and I was like, all right, so if I'm a real journalist, here's what I do. I go try to confirm this.
I vet sources.
I vet this information. I am not. So what I'm going to do instead is be real coy and shy and not, just breadcrumb people. But I'll just say it this way. I heard a rumor about Texas Tech basketball that I cannot unhear. I cannot.
It gives you pause.
I cannot. I cannot trust Mark Adams.
Okay.
I just can't. I don't know. So I'm really worried about how I'm going to evaluate Texas Tech moving forward because like once you hear, I don't know. I think I'm saying this because I want like someone else out there to do their job. I want like some journalist to like go.
Figure it out.
Journalists, hit me up. And I'll pass it along.
Turns out it'll be the friends of the program taking videos of Mark Adams.
Yeah.
And doing things of like, I see what you're saying. You're like,
catching balls on his head.
This has nothing to do.
I don't know, man. I heard a story about Mark Adams that that's the problem with me is I believe anything I'm told.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Mark Adams in Maui and how he was like winning Maui and like we're like, is this guy the coolest dude ever?
Yeah. I still love him. I didn't hear what you heard. So for me, Mark Adams is the same man.
I don't want to share it with you because it might spoil Mark Adams for you. But
don't spoil him.
Someone, I don't know if someone listened to that show and slid into the DMs and just said, you might be wrong about Mark Adams. And I was like, whoa. And then another, I don't know. I'm Matt Barnes. I'm Matt Barnes. I'm sorry. I apologize, America.
Shout out to Matt Barnes.
I just wanted to, I suck at this, dude. I suck at having scoops. That's just what I want to say. Like, stop. I thought that what I wanted more than anything was people to give me scoops. I thought I wanted to be in the scoops game.
But you don't.
Every single time I dip my toes in these waters, I can't do it. The lights are too bright. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I have a Mark Adams scoop. It's driving me absolutely insane, and I want to dump it off onto somebody and do something with it. Either prove me wrong or prove it right. I don't know, but like I don't want to live in this world.
Yeah, put it together.
Please, for the love of God.
Together.
What else?
Also, Tennessee plays Maryland this weekend, so that's on
right,
Sunday.
Yeah.
So if you're a college basketball fan, this
Xavier
weekend,
Cincinnati, dude.
Yeah,
we love that rivalry.
Oh, I love that rivalry. I mean, I love Missouri Kansas also. I want to give that its credit. Missouri is undefeated, and they're a really good team as well. Their fans are getting very upset that no one's talking about them. So we speak your name, Missouri.
You know where I'm going to be?
Where?
On Saturday? I'm going to a game.
Is it the Missouri Kansas game?
I'm traveling. I'm traveling.
Wow.
I'm getting on a plane, and I'm going to Berkeley.
Whoa.
For Butler at Cal.
I am concerned.
On Saturday. Yeah.
That's a trap game. That's a trap game.
Oh, dude.
For Butler.
I am very concerned. Cal just lost to, who did they lose to the other night?
I mean, Cal is 0-10 on the year. They are the only other Power 5 team to be 0-for outside of Louisville. They
lost to Eastern Washington at home by 2 last night. And I saw that, and you would think I'd be like, oh, that's great. So they're playing like shit, and Butler's going to come in and take care of business.
It's kind of a close game.
When I was looking at the schedule initially, I wanted them to win that game. So then they would feel like they, the monkey's off their back, and then we get the real version.
What are the odds they could go 0-11? Like not high. So that's, if you're Butler, you're just coming in and you're playing a dangerous odds game.
I'm very worried.
And Thad's such a good guy. At times, you know what I mean? He has good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's not a BAG guy. So I'm worried.
Butler can't shoot for and I just see them going ice cold. Manny Bates is awesome, but I don't know, man. It's I'm going to the game. We're gonna go up there and see what happens.
I'll watch that game.
But how hilarious is that? I'm going to watch all these great games going on, and I hope
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear you break that all down. That's gonna be good.
I told Greg and John I'm coming, and they're like, "Do you want me to get you to?" I think John never does.
John did not.
Yeah, John was like,
John's not listening.
John was like, "Cool, man. Okay." John sent the Tom Herman. Okay, cool, hook him. And Greg was like, "I'll get you tickets." And I looked up tickets, and I was like, Greg, I mean, I'll take the tickets if you get, but like, don't worry about it. I think I'm gonna be fine getting in. I think there'll be a way.
They might pay you to go to the game. Like, isn't that what happened with Georgetown? Not to sidebar too much, but didn't Georgetown have a free ticket night, and then they still didn't have people come? Like, people wouldn't even come for free.
3,000 people come to the game. Like
for free.
For free.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm excited to go to Berkeley. I'll give some boots on the ground.
I love
recap of a game that literally nobody listening to this will be watching. So
go to Cheese Board, get some pizza. It'd be great.
What else? Oh, I had one more shout out. Shout out to Danny DeVito for his Jersey Mike's commercials. I love those.
They're the best. Shout out to Danny DeVito.
We're getting a lot of Jersey Mike's Danny DeVito commercials on these college basketball games. Jersey Mike's having a moment right now.
We love
Jersey Mike's Arena.
We love Jersey Mike's. I eat a lot of Jersey Mike's.
Is that it? Do you have any more shout outs?
That's all I got. Oh, Drake May, my quarterback. The quarterback.
My quarterback too. He's transferring to Ohio State, right?
No, he
Is he
came
transferred
out.
to Ohio State?
He came out when all the reporters, all the scoopers, all the journalists came out and said this man has to leave North Carolina. Our quarterback, Drake May, said nay.
That can't be
He said,
right.
I will be staying. I will be a Tar Heel for life. So love that kid.
I was on Big Buck Nuts, Scarlet and Gray, bucknuts.com/football forum.
I will say Georgia fans got me. Georgia fans were sending me like Drake May is getting paid $10 million by this exact booster. The private plane has already come to chat. You know, there were lots of things like that were getting.
I don't think you're out of the woods yet, dude, because the forum I was on.
We're out of the woods.
For premium subscribers only forum. Only the hottest tips. They were saying Mike Vrabel and Drake May to Ohio State. Done deal.
Done deal.
Unless Ryan Day wins the championship.
Yeah.
And then the deal's off.
No, let's just kick it one more year.
But I don't think Ohio State's recruited Drake May yet. So I think like Drake May was saying, I've turned down all the offers I've been approached with, except like I'm still waiting for Ohio State to call. Because CJ Stroud's moving on, dude. We're gonna need a quarterback.
Where's he
I'm
going?
Just saying. Your Carolina Panthers, probably.
Please,
we'll trade you. CJ Stroud for Drake.
No. We want Drake. I'll take Marvin Harrison Jr. though. Any day of the week. That's my guy.
Tyler's filling in for Jim. Jim's back home in New York.
God knows why.
We got our guy Tyler, who Tyler's been on the show before. He's
our Notre Dame.
He's our Notre Dame correspondent.
Yeah.
Who hates Mike Bray, and he
tried to get him fired.
Tyler's been MI. So Notre Dame beat Michigan State at home. Big win.
Huge win
for Mike Bray and the boys.
Yeah.
We were trying to find Tyler around here at Fox. Couldn't find him anywhere. I was like, I can't wait to talk to Tyler about this Notre Dame team because he hates Mike Bray, and he was nowhere to be found. All of a sudden, Notre Dame loses at home to Syracuse to my number one fraud last week, Jim Boeheim. Guess whose face pops up? Number one Mike Bray hater, Tyler. He's like, I'm working on the show today, guys. What's up? And I said, of course you are. Do you have any shout-outs, Tyler? Do you want to defend yourself?
No shout-outs. I was going to have one for Drake May until his tweet yesterday. I thought he would look great in the blue and gold, but it turns out that's not going to be the case.
Was Drake made a Notre Dame a thing too?
Every single school in the country.
On the blue and gold message boards, not the Bucknuts or 11 Warriors.
Every single message board in the country.
He was going to Notre Dame. But he did lose to Drew Pine, so I don't know. Maybe he's not that good.
That's our defense. That's our defense.
Because Drew Pine transferred, right?
He is in the transfer portal. Yeah.
But he's still your quarterback?
He's going to play in the bowl game.
He's not playing in the bowl game.
That's probably smart.
Yeah. He was your starting quarterback and he transferred?
I don't think the Pine family appreciated the media coverage and the general fan sentiment around Drew. And then they told him that they were going to explore the transfer portal for a quarterback. And I think he saw the writing on the wall. He was like, I'm out.
He's doing it. Do you think this might be a Kofi Coburn situation though? Where he's like, prove to me that you love me. And I might
recruit me back.
Yeah, recruit me back.
I don't think that would work out.
Notre Dame fans like, we're good. Yeah,
we don't love it.
I know, but Tate did call it during the season. I think it was like after week 2, you tweeted Drew Pine will have the best game of his life next week in Chapel Hill.
Yes,
and he did exactly that.
Carolina was undefeated against starting quarterbacks.
In all seriousness, where are you at with the Notre Dame basketball team? Tyler, who cares? Get out of here. No one cares about the football team.
I thought after the Michigan State game, you're like, all right, veteran team, they're figuring it out. And then they dropped one to Syracuse. That was pretty inexplicable. And I think we talked about this before the show. They had 4 basically bye home games. Shout out to Patrick Engel. He tweeted this out. They had 4 games against teams 140th or lower in Ken Palm. They won each one by single digits. It's just scraped by. So,
but they won each one.
Yeah, exactly.
They did win each one.
Yeah,
they did win each one. And the ACC is pretty weak. And like I've been saying, at least we're not Louisville. So
yeah,
at least we're not Louisville should be the tagline of every ACC team this season. Or probably every team in every power conference.
Notre Dame can make the tournament though. We think, right?
They should.
They could.
Yeah,
Cormac Jordan.
Yeah,
leading the way.
I mean, if the propaganda of the Big Ten continues, then the ACC will get 3 bids, as we saw last year. But if they actually watch the teams play, I think they'll get 6 or 7. I think, and I think Notre Dame could be one of those teams. Why not? I think NC State can make the tournament. By the way,
is Mike Bray on your hot seat? Not anymore.
I love Mike Bray. This slander will not stand.
Who doesn't love Mike Bray? That's the question.
I don't know why I made up that.
Well, no, it's because you thought I was a student at the time when they did boo Mike Bray.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And I was like, I graduated before that. When I was at Notre Dame, we were a basketball school. That was like the peak of our basketball.
Tyler has the
Elite
same
eights.
problem Tate had at the Ringer, which is you have a younger face, and that's a good thing. That's a good problem moving forward. But then like guys like me that are a little older. Like my math was off, and I thought Tyler was like fresh out of college.
Yeah. I mean, I cut my face shaving right before we came in today. It's because I started doing it like last week, so I'm still relatively new to it.
Yeah. So that's what it was. I remembered that Notre Dame fans were booing Mike Bray, saying
fire. We turned on Notre Dame,
and I accused Tyler of being in the student section.
And Tyler was like,
I'm 26 years old. I haven't been in college in a long time.
He was like, I hate those kids. Also, he's like agreeing with us. We're like, Tyler, get out of that student section.
Oh man,
what a time.
All right, don't fire Mike Bray.
Yeah, those fans are wrong. Or those students, I should
Bray.
say. Yeah, those students are wrong. The fans are right.
Sorry, maybe he deserved to be fired. Maybe,
no.
You can unfire people, though. I'm learning that with Ryan Day. Fire him, unfire him. When you win, he's done fired.
If you're Duke, would you take Mike Bray over Shire right now today?
Yeah.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Huge mistake. Bad hire.
Is that it? Are we done here? Can we go enjoy the weekend?
Let's do it.
All right.
Fraud Friday
on a Thursday. Everybody enjoy the weekend. If you are in fact in Berkeley for the Cal Butler game, I don't know. I'm excited for that environment. This is gonna be the saddest thing of all time.
You're gonna have like 5 people to talk to at that game.
Yeah,
that they're gonna all be there talking to you. You guys are gonna be doing like a podcast.
I'm gonna stick out like
people
a
are gonna hear you talking in the crowd, and Dad's gonna turn around and say, "Mark, turn it down." We're gonna hear you.
There's going to be like 12 people there, and there's going to be one guy wearing a Butler shirt. And it'll be me.
My favorite Berkeley shot is they always, no matter football, basketball, soccer, whatever it is, whatever sport that they're showing on ESPN, ESPNU, whatever, they always show one student studying in the crowd. Like that's their goal. Their goal is to find that one. I think they just recycle the shot, but I think you're going to see that kid. And,
I could be the Butler fan, dude. They could be like, look at the Butler fan showing out in Cal. And
that would be nice.
Cuts to me and me alone, just sitting there on my phone.
Yeah.
Like looking up scores from other games that are more interesting.
You and Blue are just sitting there together.
I'm just like watching another game on my phone that's more interesting than this.
Yes. And there's college basketball pundit Mark Titus.
All right. That's it. See you guys. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next week.